Joining me now, Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch. Tom, good to see you. So now Nadler's Judiciary Committee is running to the D.C. Appellate Court saying, oh, gosh, we need Don McGahn's testimony because it might actually impact the current impeachment, although nowhere in the articles of impeachment is there anything related to McGahn or the Mueller investigation. What does that tell you?
It tells me that impeachment will be used against this president as long as the House is controlled by the kookaburra ball. And he should plan on this for not only this year, but if the Pelosi majority retains control of the House for his second term. And the question is there going to be any penalty for this wild abuse of power, this coup, which is now being directed at the Senate? And if I were the Senate, rather than put the president through an abusive trial, I would have some type of preliminary hearing, Greg, where the prosecutorial misconduct, the abuse of power, is at issue before a select committee of the Senate that investigates what Schiff did and investigates the other abuses of the kookaburra ball. So there's a report to the larger Senate, and they can decide whether they even let this trial get out of the gate. I don't think there should be a full-blown trial. Anyone goes on trial in the Senate, it should be Adam Schiff and his cohorts.
I agree. In fact, I've long argued there ought to be a motion to dismiss after what you would say would be a select committee, because the lack of evidence is conspicuous. I do want to ask you about two of the lawsuits you filed today, and here they are. One is against the CIA to obtain the fake whistleblowers' emails. Fake, I say, because under the whistleblower law, he doesn't qualify as a whistleblower. And as a consequence, he's not entitled to anonymity or, the protection of his name. The other one is against the Department of Justice to obtain communications from the FBI's former employees, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Andrew McCabe, and their communications with the fake whistleblower. What do you hope to learn?
Well, technically speaking, we don't know this individual actually is the whistleblower. But we do know he worked in the Obama White House and then the Trump White House in a sensitive position for the CIA on Ukraine. So we want his emails because of the evidence that he is the whistleblower potentially. But secondly, he may have been involved in other illicit leaking, hence the emails, the email lawsuit for documents at the special counsel and the FBI, where there may have been skullduggery there. By this alleged whistleblower. And, by all accounts, he's a leaker. And again, this is the sort of thing, why is Judicial Watch having to do this basic investigative heavy lifting and lawsuits? The Senate should be talking about doing this work as well to figure out the connections here, not only internally in the deep state attack on Trump, but their collusion with the Schiff gang.
He was an undercover informant spying on the president and feeding the information to the CIA and, of course, working in collusion with Adam Schiff. I want to switch over to the IG report because, of course, as you know, it identified a litany of inaccurate statements, false representations, concealing of evidence, errors and omissions, and outright lies. There are actually 51 of them in a chart in Appendix Number 1. And so this has so inflamed many members of the Senate, Lindsey Graham among them, that he says he is going to call each and every individual who signed off on those FISA warrants, which would include James Comey, Andrew McCabe, and Rod Rosenstein. What's your reaction to that?
Well, that's the least he should be doing. Frankly, if justice was working smoothly, he wouldn't be able to do that because they all have to take the fifth. There needs to be criminal investigations, not only by the Justice Department, but the court can institute its own criminal contempt proceedings against those involved in this scandal. But it's way past due for Congress to investigate the FISA-Gate scandal. A lot of what we're hearing about from the IG, we've already known thanks to Devin Nunes, Judicial Watch FOIA lawsuits. The IG is late to the game. It was a stalled report, and now finally the Senate has zero excuses. The court has zero excuses.
Right.
We'll see what the Justice Department does.
Well, we already know what people like James Comey are going to say in his awful interview in which he got shredded by my colleague Chris Wallace. He said, oh, gosh, I'm way up here. I'm the director of the FBI, and the people who were putting that together those FISA warrant applications, those are 7 levels below. And of course, the Attorney General, William Barr, said that's nonsense. He scoffed at that notion. But you know that people like, Comey and McCabe and probably Rosenstein are all going to say, gosh, I didn't know. I was trusting other people. I mean, that's their excuse, isn't it?
Comey took that dossier after a meeting with Barack Obama. The next day, he took it to President-elect Trump to confront him with the dossier, to get information and evidence. He ran downstairs. This is according to another IG report. He ran downstairs to his car, started typing out his memo, went back to the FBI field office and called the Crossfire Hurricane team to give him his information about his spy op on the President-elect Trump. Comey was running the show, and he did it, frankly, at the orders of President Obama, right, because he told Obama and Biden at that Oval Office meeting what they planned. And according to Comey, Obama said good luck with that.
Yeah. And the amazing part is we learned from the IG report that Comey, that same month, January of 2017, found out from the subsource that it was all phony information. It was all just made up, exaggerated. Instead of running to the White House and saying, oh, sorry, Mr. President, that dossier I told you about, it's all fake. Instead of running to the FISA court and withdrawing the application to spy, Comey did the opposite and accelerated his investigation, sought more warrants to spy. It's really quite unbelievable. Let's hope John Durham gets to the bottom of it. Tom Fitton, good to be with you. Thanks.
Thank you.